precedent if you have worried about precedents. But again, I'm not sure we haven't already set that precedent. But that's my thoughts, and that's I would like to see us move in that direction rather than set up here and say, no, I don't think it's something we can do.
Yeah. Mr. Seeley?
Reverend Upshaw, you and I had a nice conversation on the phone about a week ago. And one of the pitfalls you and I talked about is there are several 501c3s with just land. Mr. Roselle knows that Frog Level owns land on Route 30, that they're 501c3, they own land, they pay taxes on the land on Route 30. The same thing is true for the Sparta Volunteer Fire Department. They own land further down on Sparta Road, and they have a facility, they pay taxes on that land. I do agree with Mr. Akers, once a building is built, and you and I did talk about this, is we could come up with a sliding scale, you know, no tax the first year, 20 or 30% the second year, 30 or 40% the third year, and work its way till it's to 100%. It gives you like a 5-year runway to get from the building built to actually being fully taxed so that you get your feet underneath you as an organization, which you and I talked about at length, you didn't realize we could do. And I think from what Mr. Akers is talking about, that's sort of the deal that was made with McKesson, real estate tax-wise, it was phased in over time. And I think that's a deal that we could work out. But what you'd need to have is a building in place. That is the hardest part. There are a number of 501c3s that just own land. And my concern is if we exempt the land, that everybody with land, starting with the volunteer fire departments and going to other organizations, they'll want to do the same thing. I too believe it's a great project. I think a phased-in approach for tax-wise, there's taxes you haven't even thought about, machine tool tax, personal property, all those kinds of things that would need to be worked out as well, because all of those can be equally as onerous on you as just the real estate. But I think a phased-in approach could be worked out. I think with the USDA, really, from my perspective, having watched other USDA applications being made, is support from the local governing body, even the town of Port Royal and Bowling Green with resolutions of support, I think speak volumes in and of themselves as well. So I would propose, in addition to what Mr. Akers said, is working out a sliding schedule once the building's up so that you know what your tax liability is from the time the building's built, day one, when you move in, to the 5-year mark, which I think would help you get your feet underneath you, get the management in place, and get the understanding of what it's going to take to run the facility. And you and I talked about that at length, and I thought that that was probably a pretty good solution that you all weren't aware of. But I think that's when they talk about slippery slope, it's the other 501c3s. For most people don't realize the state fair, the county fair are both 501c3s. They both are federally tax exempt, but they still pay local taxes. Even the Little League fields are still, they're a 501c3, but they do pay local taxes right now. But I think a phased-in approach, we could all agree on, we could work something out that would be agreeable to everybody. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Reverend Upshaw, apparently you've done a very good job in contacting all of the board members, because it appears that everybody has said in our conversation, so let me add that in our conversation, the critical part for me was I didn't think we had the ability, as far as a local government, to give you tax-exempt status. And I think we've got the state code and we've got an opinion from the commissioner. And Virginia being a Dillon rule state, if we don't have permission to do something, we can't do it. And you've known me closely for the past year and a half or so. You know that's my way of saying, let me figure out a way to do it. So we have to charge you tax. There's no way around that we can get around that. What we may do is, one of the other suggestions is make a donation back to you on what the tax or some portion of that tax would be. So the net to you would be less tax, or in some cases no tax. And I think that's kind of where it sounds like where the board is. If you were a business coming in here and we were recruiting you and you were saying, yeah, I'm going to create, 50 jobs or whatever, we would probably work something out to try to arrange an easy transition in. So I think that's kind of where we are. We just need to figure out exactly how we make that transition. Again, I'm saying, everything that's free, I'm going to be happy to give you right away. We'll have somebody write a resolution, I'll sign it tomorrow and drive it down to your house if we need to. We're going to do that. The money part we have to kind of figure out. So if you want to tell USGA that the board is working on tax rebate, I guess might be the good way to put it, that'll show some indication. And, the $1,200 you pay now, I think what we're saying or what I've heard is it seems like that's something you're going to have to keep paying. But when you put up a building, you said it was an $8 million building?
Well, the total project is $8 million, correct?
Okay. With my fuzzy math, that's $65,000 in real estate tax you'd be paying on that building.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that was just fuzzy math.
I think Ms.
No?
Carter gave us something less than that, though, an estimate.
Oh, it goes by the value, right. So you could spend $8 million on a building that's really only worth $1 million, right? That's between you and her. We set the tax rate, she sets the value.
Yeah, I'm taking her to lunch next week.
I knew she would be getting a call soon after. But the reality is, whatever that number turns out to be, I think that's when we can really put our hands around it. So if you get closer to that number, you can say, but I don't think I didn't hear any board members say that we would not make some sort of donation to your project.
Can that be included in the resolution that those pieces?
That was my question. Could we not make some reference to that in the resolution as to the board is researching ways in order to provide a rebate or to make contributions in the amount of tax?
Oh, yeah, we can say, do you want a number in there or?
No,
we don't really know a number.
I don't say number, I'm just saying,
okay,
put in there that we're going to do it.
And that we are going to make some sort of financial contribution to the project.
And I think all of that makes your support stronger and indicates that you're behind it, and that will send a message to the USDA.
Okay. Now, if that'll work, I mean, I would write you a check for $8 million right now, but you'd probably have a real hard time cashing it. I didn't bring, no, it's in the car. I do, but you wouldn't want it. But aside from that, and we obviously can't do that, but we will do something for the project as we get a little closer, I guess, to the building. When you get the loan and we figure out what the number is from Mrs. Carter and you, we'll work out some sort of county contribution to your project.
I appreciate it. You do need to know the USDA has said that we should know something within 3 to 5 months as to whether we will get the loan or not.
Okay.
So we do have a little bit of a window there.
Well, we're going to, I will say by the end of next week at the latest, I know we can do it a lot sooner, but by the end of next week at the latest, we'll have a resolution with the board's support, and we will reference that the board is working or trying to figure out how to make a financial contribution to you.
And I recorded your commitment to $8 million too, by the way. So
I can go into the car and write you a check right now. I have no problem doing that. Just don't try to cash it. Okay.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your support, and we'll try to keep you posted as we progress in this project.
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure talking to you. Yes, ma'am.
Need to adopt a resolution adopt a motion that the resolution will be with the parameters set forth that we'll write up for you for your signature.
Okay.
So
We need
record that we're doing it.
as they all leave, we're gonna create this resolution, but we need a motion directing staff to adopt a resolution for the chairman's signature that will include our verbal support for the project and our intention to find some sort of financial support.
Mr. Chairman, I move.
Oh.
I'll make that motion.
Can we make that motion before we Can we make that motion prior to taking some type of action here on what's before us now? So do we have to make?
Well, their request was for real estate tax exemption.
Right.
And basically, we don't have the authority to grant them a real estate tax exemption.
So don't we have to take some action on that first? We don't have to?
No, we don't.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
The motion still stands.
Mr. Akers is making a motion for the resolution to be prepared with the indication that there will be financial support forthcoming.
Second.
Okay. Motion is made by Mr. Akers, seconded by Mr. Underwood. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item number 9. Are you gonna do that? You want me to do it? Agenda item number 9 is, is a proposed county contribution to facilitate Germanna Community College location in Caroline County. I'll give the overview. We've been meeting with, or I've been meeting with staff in Germanna for probably at least a year and a half, if not 2 years, trying to get them in a different location in the county. They've looked at Ladysmith Elementary. They found that wasn't a suitable site. We looked at other places. That wasn't suitable. There are apparently now some options that are suitable for them. They have to put out an RFP, which is their process to actually find a location. Part of what their normal process is that when they come to a new location, they expect that locality to pay their rent for at least 3 years. And part of that is in the 3-year period, we'll find a campus site for them somewhere within the county, again, in the same area probably. So that's where we are. Mr. Cully was at the last meeting. I believe he and Mr. Wilson took the last meeting with Dr. Sam of Germanna. So, Mr. Cully?
Yeah, the only thing that really I would add is that the 3 years is to build up statistics of use and to be able to take that back to the community college's director or rector or head person, and then if they support it, then it has to go to the General Assembly to fund that campus. So it's really to get a satellite here is to build usage statistics. You can't get General Assembly funding or the community college folks on board just saying you want to go somewhere and start a campus. So everywhere these have been done in the past, it's been on this 3-year. We'll go with the locality and move to a satellite, but the locality is expected to pick up that rent cost.
And you have a not to exceed?
Not to exceed $42,000 at this time.
Okay, discussion, Mr. Seeley, we'll start at this end.
I just was hoping that they would look at the Ladysmith location. It's on Route 1. It's at 639. It's at the entrance to, 2 of the major subdivisions. And to me, that was just, it's got classrooms, it's got a gym. I know it doesn't have an auditorium. I was just hoping yeah. It's right in the center of so many, Lake Landor goes by there, Bridlewood.
They don't consider that to meet the standards of what they need to run community college programs there. The restrooms are elementary or they just feel
what if we'd have done the renovation with the money that we guaranteed them, renovated the restrooms and those kinds of things?
We certainly could talk to them about that. We haven't proposed that at this juncture because they just pretty much keep going. They're worried there's asbestos, which I keep telling them I don't think so. The schools would have abated it.
Well, we had to abate it when we did the roofs. We've done extensive work to that building, and there are a whole line of new classrooms that were built in the 90s.
We can make that.
We
can make that an option because they have to. They have several places that they're looking at, and one in particular is one that's going to cost $42,000. But they have to put on an RFP. We will make that an option for them.
Because, they've
said no before. So.
But, we have an offer. I support Germanna coming. I would just like to be able to give them more space and facilities. And if upgrading the bathrooms cost us $20,000, the space would essentially pay for itself in the first year. And if that's really, I'd like to know what they would need in that building to facilitate it. It's right off of 95. It is, like I said, the entrance to several major subdivisions, and if we offer to renovate the restrooms, which probably need to be done anyways, even if we keep it, it would just be a super place with expansion and would give, when they went to the rector of community colleges and said, hey, here's where, we want to expand, here's where we're at, and to the General Assembly, it would give us a whole different perspective on what we'd be able to do.
Part of that problem is that we don't own that building.
But we could actually take care of that. I don't think the school board, if it's going to be used for a school,
I mean, they have plans to use that for a future school. I've sat in meetings with them where they've talked about it. But that would be one of the issues that we would have to work out with.
we got a meeting on the 26th, well, the 22nd.
We don't own it, so it's not, if it was a county facility, that would be a lot easier to say, are we going to do this, and we're going to remodel this, and do this, that, and so.
Yeah, 'cause if we did the bathrooms to make them adult size, and they said they wanted to make it
It's just,
another
that's just a
elementary school,
change of a
they'd go back.
fixture, though.
Right.
I mean, the fixture underneath isn't any different.
The sink heights are different.
Right, right. But I mean,
that's, we can make that an option. Really, I think the board, well, staff and I would like the board's approval to move ahead with this up to. We'll take that as an option to them, because we've given them that option, I think, early last year, and try it again. But
because all the criteria I hear, that school meets it, with the exception of, there's brand-new classrooms, no asbestos, I mean, there's 8 of them.
I have said everything you said. Trust me, I have
Except,
said
did you tell them we'd
everything you
upgrade
said.
the bathrooms?
I didn't say we'd upgrade the bathrooms, but
They'd have no electric bill, no snow removal, I mean, all the things that,
we said we had a building that all you had to do is move into.
okay. Those are my comments, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Akers?
I don't care which location we're talking about. I support Germanna, and I've said this for years, that we need a Germanna presence in Caroline County. Sure, I'd like to see it in Ladysmith, because that's where the largest number of people are located. But if it's in Bowling Green, or if it's in Carmel Church, or Dawn, that's fine with me. We just need a presence of Germanna Community College. One of the things we may want to throw out is the fact that if we're talking about $42,000 a year, that's $126,000 for 3 years. We may look at asking them, what improvements do you want to make, up to $142,000.
Right.
And not just the bathrooms. There may be lightings that they need in the hallway. If you've been in that school recently in the last 6 to 8 months, the lighting is not good, the paint is not good, the ceiling is not, the tile is not good. Those things need to be replaced in order to make it a presentable building, and especially to the workforce
Right.
that they're looking at this point. That's the training they're going to look
Right.
at.
That's
When
where it
companies look in and say, where do I want my employees to go, they want them to go into a nice-looking building, nice-looking area. So, again, we need to consider all those things, and maybe up to $142,000, we will do improvements. Germanna has their own engineering group
Yes.
that can come in and tell you what is needed to bring it up to their standards. And we may want to
And
them to do that.
that guy's been to Ladysmith.
He's been to Ladysmith, and he's looked at the Ladysmith Commons area.
Right.
The problem with the Ladysmith Commons area was the fact I think it was going to cost like $100,000 to put it into condition that they would take, because they're basically bare buildings. I mean, they
Yeah.
just haven't been finished out, no bathrooms have been put in, things of that nature. But they weren't going to charge them, I think something like $1,000 a month, or the cost of the sewer and lights and things of that nature, a portion of that. So they were getting rent extremely cheap. But again, we may want to look at those areas.
We will give them all those options.
Yeah. I just think we need to do what we have to do to get Germanna.
We need to get them.
Yeah.
Right. Mr. Underwood?
Mr. Chairman, along the conversation, I agree with my 2 colleagues that we need to support Germanna, get them here as economically feasible as possible, but as soon as possible also. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Black?
Mr. Chairman, I would agree that the presence of Germanna would be very, very important. I guess the question I have, is there a way to get Germanna here in front of us to ask them any questions that they would have? So like some of these questions could be answered in front of us. Any questions like at the next July meeting or the August meeting before we?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because I'm sure there's specific questions that we would like to ask them. I mean, I don't really see it as a huge problem, but I mean, specific questions as far as what are their goals, what do they want to do, you know, those type of things. I mean, those would be questions. How have they done it in other counties like King George, or where they've expanded to? Just so that way we know, the public knows exactly what's going on.
Okay. I'm pretty sure we could arrange that, if not the end of this month, sometime in August. It is their summertime. I'm not sure where they are in terms of vacation.
Might be the
schedule.
easiest, yeah, right.
They've been here twice already, and talked to this.
In front of the board, yes.
Yeah, but they asked us,
questions.
they wanted money for the campus. They wanted us to give like 120-some, 150-some thousand dollars for the campus they built out on 17.
No, they came here presenting, because they had original look
We
at
already talked about the
tying into the
Was that-
YMCA,
Right.
and they
Right.
presented that to the board.
But trust me, if the board decides to go forward with the agenda item, I'm sure Jimena will run down here and say, thank you very much, we'll be happy to talk.
How many classrooms are they talking about?
This is like two giant-sized rooms. It's two that they're going to break into four, probably. Let me let Mr. Taylor go.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I certainly support Jimena coming into Caroline County. I've always supported it. I would have truly liked to have seen them come as a part of the Y when we were talking, but it didn't work, so that's kind of old news. I certainly support it, but I hope that we will allow it to, in the end, to be their decision as to where they go.
Oh, it is.
I don't
It's
want
gonna
us
be,
to,
yeah.
because quite honestly, Ladysmith Elementary, I just don't think it's a building that gives the presence that they want. It's just as simple as that. And I believe that the renovations would be so extravagant, in order to do that, it would defeat their purpose. But again, that's my opinion. I may be wrong. But as long as it's going to be up to them, and we agree that we want to support them in that effort, then that's fine with me.
Mr. Black?
I mean, I guess my concern would be okay to defer this until we have them here to vote on it. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a problem with this thing passing. I'm just saying for the motion, can we defer this until when they are here to answer any questions? So it would be like the next meeting in July, if they can come in July or August.
Well, I thought we were trying to be pretty much ready to go. I think we got commitments from Germanna that this was their last step before they started their move down here. So they have an RFP process.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they wanted to get that started. We're saying yes. If we say yes today, we want to make sure that's our commitment to them to come. They have to put on an RFP to say this is where we're going to be located. I think during that process, they'd be happy to come and talk to us. You know, if their RFP falls through or something, we're not committed.
Okay. I guess my concern is, you know, I mean, and it's really in the scheme of things, the $42,000, but I guess my concern is, I don't think they've, as far as, we've never had him there publicly talking about this particular thing. We only talked about the YMCA, correct? So for the public to know exactly what they would, before we give them the $42,000, that's all.
Okay, well, we can say we're going to give them the $42,000 and have them come and make a presentation, because that's our commitment to them. You know, again, Mr. Wilson has talked with, and I think you were there, we've talked to Dr. Sam at Germanna. We've had Germanna staff in the county office building. We've had Germanna staff in the visitor center. I mean, we have literally been meeting with Germanna for a year and a half, if not longer. And Mr. Akers met with some folks from Germanna. Bruce Davis. So, I mean, we've all been talking to Germanna while we were in the chair or whatever, but staff has been doing it for 3 years. So we've got them now to say, as of the meeting you had last week, yes, we're going to come. We've got a place we're looking at, but we've got to go through their process. So, I mean, we really need to say yes now, and they can come and answer whatever questions you want. Or Mr. Cully can provide you more information, you know, later part of the week.
I guess my concern is I've never really talked. I mean, you guys, Mr. Akers may have talked to him. You know, you may have talked to him. I've never sat down with him one-on-one. I mean, and I'm not sure if Mr. Underwood has or I mean, just when or Mr. Seeley has, and I think the $42,000 investment is definitely worth it. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, before I'm giving $42,000, hey, we're getting X, Y, and Z. This is what Caroline County's getting. This is what we're providing from them.
Well, you meant it the last time with Dr. Sam, where you said this is going to be workforce investment training to start with, and then we're going to go from there. So maybe you could give Mr. Black an idea of what that even means.
They're not proposing credit level classes. They're non-credit classes, mainly in the area of workforce training. So it would train workers to work at various types of businesses, and I've never been to one, so I can't tell you the detail of what those are, but their goal is to do what they can to get numbers up, to show that there are people using the facilities, to justify that back to the community college board, and then that president or whoever that is then makes the argument in front of the General Assembly to fund the campus here because of need. And they feel that the non-credit workforce is what they can start with and support right now and is what's needed. So it's, I guess, people either changing jobs, have lost jobs, and their job skills are no longer needed, and they need to learn another job skill to train them for the things that we have that are businesses that are here. I mean, MC Dean. I mean, there are various type things.
When they were talking about going to the Y, that's kind of the same things they were saying they were going to do.
Well, MC Dean told us they have an extensive training program of their own that we don't even capitalize on. So I don't know that I just don't know what workforce training means in Caroline. I don't know what they mean by what they're going to do with that. I guess that's my confusion.
Well, part of the thing is that Mr. Wilson has been on a few business expeditions, and they say the workforce in Caroline isn't necessarily qualified to handle manufacturing or whatever, something of those things. These will be some of the things we're doing.
Mr. Chairman, about workforce training and a facility in the county, wherever it should be, what we can do with Germanna is that they have a program that allows qualified people to come in and meet specific needs of a business. Should they come in and say, we need somebody with have hospitality training, or we need somebody who can operate this kind of machine and so forth. And we can also coordinate with the workforce program. State of Virginia also would provide a facility for that. It would, if a company is building a building, they don't have a place to train their people before they start, this would be one such location. But it would be a place where Germanna could bring in the right people to do that kind of workforce training for those people. Right now, we could use it as a facility for, especially in let's say, Carmel Church, to train hospitality for our hotels, which I think is a needed issue. So that's the kind of thing that can happen at a workforce center.
Any other questions? We're gonna go ahead and move on and approve this. They're gonna come back, and I'll make sure they come back and make a presentation exactly what it is. Like, speaker. Yes.
Okay. I would move that we take the action as presented in the agenda.
Okay.
Which basically states that we would provide the $42,000 for training.
Up to for
Up
a facility
to $42,000
for Germanna to
for
come
training.
together.
Yeah, for a facility.
For 3 years maximum. And then that's based on their RFP, because it may end up less.
Right.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay. Motion carries unanimously. All right, 10. Is that Mr. Schiebel? Mr. Schiebel, you got a great deal on a sewer cleaning truck.
I only have one
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, that's correct.
Right.
We've been in